to tell me his story. These are his memories. Can you feel him now? In the earth?
No, I don't know what you mean.
I think you do.
Hi, I'm Alex Menemy, and today we're with British screen legend and one of the stars of new horror film In the Earth, Reece Shearsmith. Reece, your In the Earth character has major Jack Torrance vibes. Was The Shining a big influence?
Initially, it wasn't, but then as soon as I got hold of that axe, yes, then it became full-on Jack Torrance. So I was trying to keep a lid on it, but yeah, eventually it becomes very much, instead of I'm not got a maze with snow, I've got trees and woods. But yeah, it was an influence, but I tried to keep a lid on the really mad for as long as I could before blowing my top.
So how did you prepare for the role? Did you go and live in the woods for a month?
No, I didn't. I mean, because it was lockdown, we were not allowed out. So it was a thrill to go out and film it. And we didn't know whether it was going to happen. Ben said he'd written this thing in April. I think he told me about it. And I didn't really think it was going to happen. But then eventually dates were set and I went and had a costume fit in. And it was like, are we actually doing it? And we went out and we did it. Yes, it was great. I was fit because I've been doing Zoom training 4 times a week. Really, because I do it anyway in real life. But then I kept it going as a sort of like for my mental health, just to have something regular in the week. So I was very fit to be doing all the running around, and that was a help, I suppose. But I didn't go and live in a tent. No, I was in a nice hotel room.
What does Zoom training involve?
Well, watching a man on the other side of it in his garden, and I'm in my garden, and I'm leaping around on the patio, doing all these Sergeant Major moves.
That's a great image.
It's actually high end. It would be it'd tire you out if you tried it.
I'll have to hit you up for your trainer's number so I can do it.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be delighted.
There's a great moment in the Earth. It's the first time we see you where you're sort of hiding in the undergrowth, and it's impossible to see you until you do, and then you're like, oh, how did I miss that? Can you tell me about filming that?
Yeah, that was. I'm always struck with when you first see a character in a film and how you see that person for the first time, especially if they're going to be not all that they seem. And I remember hearing Anthony Hopkins talking about when he first was seen as Lecter in his cell. Jonathan Demme said he wanted him lying on his little bed when Clarice meets him, and he said, I want to be standing like a little soldier to attention when she turns up at the glass, and it's quite creepy that he's already heard her and he's waiting. And I remember that was in my mind a little bit filming that very first reveal of Zach. He's got his back to them, and then I just sort of turned my head like an owl. I wanted my head to fully turn around, like he was suddenly alerted to the sound. And I just thought that's someone who's very in tune with their environment, and you would hear them coming a mile off.
How many times did you have to film it? Was it just the once, or?
I think we did it a few times, yeah, because we did wide, far away, and then we did a bit closer. But I think he ended up using the very far away one where I'm quite hidden.
Yeah, I love that moment. You get some great kind of gore moments too. Are you a fan of that type of sort of gross out horror?
I used to be. I'm a little bit more squeamish now that I'm nearing death. So I get like, oh God, I don't know if I can bear watching it. So I'm not, I don't go out to like Fright Fest and do all the cheering at their heads coming off and everything. But yeah, I get some good horror, gory bits in this. There's some really good in-camera squeamish stuff in this, I think, which is easy when you're filming it because you sort of see the mechanics of it. It's not real, but I bet on the receiving end of watching it, I bet there'll be some screams in the audience, I think.
Definitely, yeah. Screams in my sitting room, that's for sure. Have you got any favourite gory horror films, kind of classic ones from back in the day?
One of the most horrible, almost endurance test horror films to watch is Martyrs. Have you seen that French film? That is horrible. That's really hard going, I think. And for all the wrong reasons as well. It's sort of like relentlessly horrible. All the Saw films are inventive. I mean, they're sort of like Roadrunner, aren't they, in the way that they create the different deaths? A bit like Final Destinations as well. More and more outlandish ways of killing people and mangling the human body.
Do you remember when you saw the first Saw film?
It'd been when it came out, which is, how long ago is that? I mean, that very first one was great, wasn't it? I've lost track of how all the many other sequels, because I want to watch Spiral. Yeah, I might be lost within if I want to sort of catch up and know all the things that they'll be referencing from all the other films.
So, back to In the Earth, the film revolves around this mystical woodland force. Are you a believer in that kind of thing?
No. I like it. I mean, I've spent my entire life loving and exploring and reading about and wanting to believe in ghosts and paranormal and supernatural. And I love it and I'm obsessed with it, but I don't really believe it. I mean, I've had a few odd experiences where I thought I can't explain that with science, but mostly I think it's the power of the human mind, yeah. But it's a great opportunity to explore. Can
you tell me a bit more about those experiences you mentioned? That's really interesting.
Well, the one that's very strange is I was in a restaurant with my wife and we're having a meal and a glass on the table, like Harry Potter, just slid across the table like that. It was a wine glass and I just literally saw it pushed my menu back as it pushed into me. And I thought it's got to be aquaplaning, it's slid, there's wet. And it was really actually hard to push it as a glass on this marble topped table. And before I knew it, the waitress came and said, "Oh, are you having wine?" And I said no. And she just whipped the glass away and took it away. And it was like, no, what has just happened there? And it was the most extraordinary thing. Because in life, you see, because you're used to horror films and ghost films and Harry Potter and anything, the special effect of a glass moving, you imagine you've seen it all the time. But to see it in real life, I cannot fathom what did it. Maybe it was an earthquake, tremor, but it slid in a smooth ghost-like way across this tabletop. And that's the nearest I've had to an inexplicable experience.
You're going to go home and your wife's going to say, "Oh, it was just me with the magnet under the table."
Yeah. Oh, yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Little fun.
So Inside Number 9 is currently airing its 6th season. What's the future of that show? How many more series have you got planned?
Oh, well, we start filming series 7 in August this year. That's written, and we're going to film that. And then, who knows? They keep recommissioning it. We've not heard anything. It just rolls on. It's like such a brilliant thing, but also horrific to try to keep coming up with the stories because it's such a high turnover of storytelling. And what haven't we done? It's become a tyranny that we've got to try and keep thinking of things. But if we can get to 9, Inside Number 9, series 9, then we can stop and I can die.
Could you and Steve start a news series instead? Is there a particular subject that interests you? I don't know, maybe something satirical about COVID, perhaps?
Yeah, we did think about doing a Number 9 sort of on Zoom or COVID thing, and they asked us to do something at the time around March last year, and we knew not to do it because it's like everyone would be sick of it, and there's so many things that are like that now, and people going, "Can you hear me?" and "No, you're on mute," doing all those stupid jokes that everyone thought they were doing for the first time. So we thought, no, not do that. But yeah, we'd love to do. When we finish, we have to at some point stop doing them. We'll try and think of a new thing. Yeah, I mean, what's weird about the Number 9s is we think of a new thing every week, so it's like weirdly just using up every idea we've ever had. But a new thing could be a longer story and longer narrative where it's not a different story every week.
Yeah, that sounds great. I can't wait. Thank you so much for speaking to me today, Reece. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. See you.
Thanks.